finding your rhythm, finding your flow, finding your movement, finding your energy, those sort of things. So we're going to start with actually rubbing our hands together. So I know it's not always easy to see what I'm doing from a distance. So I'm just rubbing hand on hand and see how that feels. And if you can, just having a feeling of warmth, maybe, between the hands. You may already be warm anyway, so your hands might be getting warmer, or you just might be noticing it more, or they may be cool and you're warming them up. Yeah, so doing that in any way that feels comfortable to you. And if there's arthritic fingers or wrists or anything, or just stickiness, and it doesn't feel comfortable, just stop at any point. So taking the attention from the fingers and the palms, and just feeling what it's like in the arms now, wrists, lower arms, elbows, upper arms, shoulders. Can you relax the shoulders? Can you keep the breathing going? So it's easy to tense up because there's quite a lot of work going on around the upper body. Okay, so we're going to turn this into a slightly bigger movement. So just start to allow your hips to go from side to side, a bit like belly dancers. But it's more of a, you can tell from my voice, it's more kind of just allowing it to happen. So it's a forward, back, side to side, quick movement. So your flesh kind of has a bit of a wobble. And think about it more as if you're doing it from the movement with your hands. So go back to your hands and get that jig going, and then let the whole body join in. It's fine if you do your own jig. So it all might look a little bit different. We are all looking a bit different. And that's just fine. See if you can take your hands a little bit higher up, more in front of your face, and still jiggle if you can still jiggle. And then take your hands back to kind of somewhere around the chest, heart center, and then see if you take it down more towards your belly, what that does for your shoulders, that does for your jig. And then just allow the hands to go lower, and you can stop the jig, and you can stop the arms, you can stop the hands, and you can just be still. Whether your feet are hip distance or wider, that's up to you. So just get that sense of warmth, tingliness, maybe through the fingers, particularly in the hands, but you might feel it all the way up the arms. You might feel your breath coming back a little bit more. You might really also feel something going on through your feet, depending on what your jig was like, and maybe a little bit of warmth and a kind of that vibration feeling coming up your legs. So taking the hands onto the pelvis. So we're just going to do a little bit more warming up or focus on the center of the body. So we'll do a couple of movements around the pelvis. So just doing your circles, and you choose how big your circles are to just loosen up. And just get that feeling of smooth circuit, your rhythm, your timing. And just reminding yourself every so often to relax in the shoulders and the jaw, the usual bits that switch themselves into tension sometimes when we are doing something else. And don't have to do a big breath, but you can just be aware that there's a little bit of the breath still available. And feeling your feet on the floor. So what's going on your feet, what movement's going on, what changes are going on. How comfortable is it? Is it pleasant to have the feet? Sensation of the feet on the floor, on the earth. And coming in the opposite direction. Again, relax maybe the wrists and even the fingers if you can. Still just resting on your pelvis. And this time feeling what it feels like under your hands on the pelvis, on your clothing, on the body. The changes as you do the circuit. And then just kind of smaller movements till you kind of find your way back to center, almost like spiraling your way back into center. The shake out of the wrists and the hands and the arms. Let the breath really be free. Okay, so we're going to take the legs wider. So as wide as you comfortably can. Toes are going out, heels are coming in a little bit. You're kind of doing a little bit of a squat, so your knees are bent. Yeah, a little bit of a squat. Then you just take your weight over to one side, so one leg straight, the other side, the knee will be bent. And just sort of rock yourself over from side to side, as long as the knee and the ankles can cope with that movement. If not, just make it smaller movement, have the legs closer together. And just see what it feels like to take your weight from one foot to the other foot. You could use, when the knee's bent, you could press that foot down a bit to get your energy over to the other side. So it might be one knee's nice, one knee's less nice, so you just need to respect the knees. So they do need movement, but sometimes they might just take a little bit of time to wake up, or you might be vulnerable for whatever reason. And again, yeah, just find your rhythm. Relax the shoulders, the arms just broadly loose. Okay, and then you can take your arms to join in. So arms go from one side to the other side. So they're kind of drifting over with the weight to the bent knee side. The shoulders then start to come up and the upper body starts to weave in a little bit. And you might get a little bit of faster movement, a little bit looser arms now. So it's more like skating without getting anywhere. It's a bit of a snow theme this week. So a little bit of skating. Could be roller skating, or it could be skating on ice. So it's pretty safe because there's no ice. And your feet aren't moving the floor. So just your rhythm. And feel the hips moving if you can. So it's more like the movement suddenly starts to be focused at the centre of the body, rather than just whipping yourself around through your arm movements or your shoulder movements, or the hips kind of move. Okay, might need to slow that up and just give that a little bit of a rest. So coming into centre, let's heel toe, and get our legs back together. See how it feels with legs back together. And just feel that you might have got the heart going a little bit faster. Just take one hand to the chest and just get a sense of the breath just in that space. Whether there's a movement up and down, there's a movement from side to side, whether you can feel your heart beating, whether you can't, whether you can relax your shoulders still breathe here. And whether you can feel the length through the whole of the front of the body, from the toes up through the legs, the belly, through the under the hand, through the chest, up through the front of the neck, and then down from the crown of the head, back of the head, sense of down through the centre of your spine, and then down through the backs of your legs to the ground. Okay, and release the hand. Okay, so we'll move to what you've been doing last few weeks. So I'm taking one foot forward, bending that knee so the weight comes slightly forward. Whichever leg is extended, i.e. straight behind me, that's my same arm side. I'm just going to drift in front. Yeah. Keep the sense of the crown of the head as if that's going for the sky, so you're not kind of looking down and bending the neck. So you're keeping a sense of support from the spine all the way through. And if it's okay to lift onto the toes, ball of the foot, of the back foot, so peeling the heel and lengthening. So you go kind of from earth to sky, earth to sky, earth to sky. So the closest you can get on a snow theme for this is throwing a snowball, but it's not really quite right, is it? But it's the best my imagination can do today. Okay. And so a couple more times. If you want to add in taking the arm a little bit further back and looking back, you can for the next few. You can still keep your balance. It's a bit tricky sometimes. And slow that up, slow that up, slow that up. Step yourself together. Just take a break in center before we do the other side. Just take your hand to your belly. And just get a sense of how things are in center, what movement there is. Again, are you closing down in your belly? Have you got a sense of length through your belly? So it can be around the navel, below the navel, wherever you feel is easier to make contact. That sense of energy through the breath, sense of expansion slightly, and return. I feel warm hand on clothing, warm hand on belly. Feeling tall as you stand, relaxed shoulders and jaw. So internal energy, so we're going from creating movement to creating or following movement inside the body, from outside to inside. So a couple more breaths there, just calming breaths hopefully. And we'll allow the hands just relax away and set yourself up for the other side. So opposite foot forward. If you're not sure, it's usually opposite to the automatic one. And then get the opposite arm going from the front leg. A little bit of weight going through that front foot. So there's a little bit of a forward movement. Peeling the heel if you wish to. So that back heel comes slightly up as you extend into the sky through that arm side. So it's, go to the earth, go to the sky, lengthen down the side body. Finding your rhythm, finding your energy, if you've got energy on this side. So obviously we get sticky bits and we get areas that we just need to protect a little bit more. So respecting that. You want to bring the back arm to go further and take your gaze behind you. You can do. If you can manage to keep that flow, keep that energy, keep the balance. Okay, a couple more, as long as the shoulder's okay. And then slow that up. Use the arm maybe to get the feet back together to standing. Okay, so just see how, if you're comfortable taking your hands to the sides of your ribs for a moment, either thumb behind and fingers forward, or if it's more comfortable just to have the back of the knuckles, back of the fingers on the side, then do that. There's always the other option of kind of a little bit of a hug. So whatever kind of works for you, shoulders and your fingers and your wrists. So we're just interested in any feeling in the side ribs. So you don't need to create it. Just notice if there's any feeling of movement outwards now, any energy outwards through the center of the body, as well as that kind of up and down or expansion and contraction. It's quite a subtle movement. We've done enough movement to get it going a little bit, but probably not a lot of movement to feel a really big sensation around the center. Really helpful area to have a bit of space on if you can. So 3 more breaths here and then we'll go from checking out that internal feeling to doing a little bit more external movement again. So we're going back to the moment energy inwards, what we feel energy inwards. Okay, and when you're done, then just relaxing the fingers away, and again give your arms a shake so you got a little bit of freedom again. Okay, so we're downhill skiing now. Okay, it's the best I can do, and then the snow theme just goes then after this. So feet either shoulder distance or hip distance. And we're just rocking both arms forward and back. As we do that, we're bending the knees. So could be a bit of a downhill skiing kind of thing. Again, you choose how much you bend the knees. So this is strengthening the legs. All these movements where we're standing, we are getting some work going in the legs. And by bending the knees, we're having to press down through the feet, use the muscles in the legs to get us back up. The part of the movement will be through the swing of the arms, but certainly think about pressing through the feet to also help you get up. As you come down, think about bottom back, maybe belly in, that's a bit more powerful, and get a bit more sensation in your bum muscles. But you need to maybe go a little bit lower for that, so it might not be that comfortable. Just feeling the air around you, whether it's on your hands, maybe on your face as you do the movement. Please feel free to stop at any point. If you can do about another 3 or 4, then just keep that going, keep the swing. And then slow it up. Let's let the arms, the momentum of the arms slow you down, slow you up. Okay, and one hand on the belly, one hand on the heart. So depending how much of a swing you got in, what slope you had on your downhill skiing will depend on how your heart's going at the moment and how your breath's going. So back from external movement to internal sense of movement. So the vibration, the warmth, the energy, feeling under the hands through the movement of the body. Sense of the diaphragm helping you breathe, that movement muscle in the center, the heart beating, the lungs working. So, a lot of fluid energy inside, fluid movements. Again, 2 or 3. Breaths here. And then releasing the hands gently away, a little bit of a shake for the hands, maybe the legs. Okay. So a bit more of an opening movement. So we've done this a few times. I think everyone's probably done them as well. So I've got my feet shoulder distance or slightly wider here. I have got my knees bent. I know it's difficult to see that. So a bit more weight goes through my feet. That means my legs have to work a little bit more. Yeah, we just try to create a little bit of energy without creating too much tension. Hands up kind of position. And from here, feel like you're extending through the spine, through the front of the sternum, maybe looking up, so there's a little bit of a back bend. And then rounding the back, bringing the elbows in, let the chin come to chest, and you just back bend your knees a bit more, and then you open up. So it feels a little bit like a stretch coming up, lengthen as much as you can so you're not getting to your lower back. And then opposite movement, rounding the back. So you might choose to use the breath, or you might just need to get used to the feeling and the sort of flow. So it will be in breath to open up, out breath to come in with elbows into center, belly in, rounding the spine there. So 3 or 4 more with your own kind of rhythm. Might be to the breath, it might be just to a nice sense of movement for you. So it's a bit like the cat-cow on all fours, but it's a bit more exaggerated. So can we take the elbows down when you do that opening up through the upper back and the opening through the chest. Just find your own way, how much you want to open and how much you want to kind of come into center. So you can bring your belly in a bit to create more rounding, or you can just soften your belly, you choose. So 1 more full movement. And you're opening up to the light, the sky maybe when you look up, and gently relaxing the arms back down. So it's quite strong on the shoulders. And a little bit of a shimmy shake, a little bit of the breath out again, any way you want to. So there's a few more movements standing, but if you need a break, please just take a break. So I'm taking my feet hip distance or shoulder distance apart. Sometimes I want hip, sometimes I want shoulder. And I bring my hands in front of my sternum, in front of my chest, and a heart center space. And that's partly a reminder to just get a little bit of length in the sternum, so I'm not closing up. I've got a little bit of length there. Let my shoulders release down if possible. So if your shoulders release down, sometimes it feels like you're lengthening through your neck. So that's always a nice feeling if you know that's happening, because really what's happening is your shoulders are going down. Just getting into that sense there. So feeling hands on chest, and a sense of connection through the top of your head, crown of your head up to the sky, feet connected to the ground and the earth. So all those relationships, hands on chest, feet to the ground, crown of the head to the sky. I'm just going to do hopefully fairly simple movements. So bending the knees, releasing the hands and letting the arms come out to the side. And we're just going to go in reverse there, yeah. So arms come out to the side again, bend the knees if you can, if you want to, and straighten the legs as you bring the hands back into center. Bend the knees, take the hands from the center, sweep the arms round, extend up through the whole body maybe. Out breath, journeys just the same, opposite route, return, bending the knees on the way down. You can do your own thing, don't worry if this doesn't kind of meet. Sometimes things are a bit clunky when we do something slightly different than what the body wants, so you can unclunk it and choose your own movement. If you don't want to bend the knees, take that out. If you don't want to bring the hands back to center, you can always leave that bit out. So lengthen and reach towards the sky, and then give your energy and your weight to the earth. Use the earth to give you a bounce back to lengthen. Okay, so about 3 more if you're feeling comfortable. So if the knee's not good, you can always take the knee movement out. Okay, so when the hands come down to the chest, we'll finish the sequence off. Your flow movement. So just see what you're left with now. So relax. If you're happy to keep your hands where they are, then let the hands stay where they are. Shoulders release, jaw. And just feeling the feet on the earth, feeling energy through the feet, energy through the hands. Sense of movement maybe in the chest and the heart area from the contact with the hands. And maybe feeling the strength through the legs. We've done a lot already, work with the legs, so the legs might feel like they've worked, but like they're actually hopefully pleasant feeling, hopefully. Okay. And relax the hands down, get a little bit of a shape, legs and arms there. So, familiar routine. So it's where we come to the front of our mat and we open out into warrior and come back, yeah, a few times. So finding your way to, if you've got a mat or what is going to be your space, and reconnect yourself with your hands in center of the sternum, giving that length through the front of the chest so you're not collapsing in the chest, really common. That's what I do anyway. And a sense of length through the crown of the head. Feel the feet on the ground. And from here we're going to open out into warrior 2. So I bend the knees slightly to get myself into this open position, yeah. So don't worry what you really kind of shape you are, but broadly if you can keep that front knee slightly bent. We use the back arm and the back leg to travel forward, so there's a little bit of energy there. So it's sort of trying to help us without it throwing us forward too much. It's a tricky one. So you try and remain in control of that. It takes a while. So let's do 4 more, so you can do your own rhythm of opening and returning. opening, and returning. But you choose your own time in here. So a couple more. So when you're back at base, then just stay at base for a moment. Let's get your breath back. So I'm going to travel to the other side of my mat, up to you whether you do to do the other side. So it might be that you do because you can see the screen, but you know what you're doing. As long as you've got space in your own room, it's just so I can vaguely keep an eye on myself and you. Okay, so steady yourself on your second side. So it might feel a bit alien on one side or another, opening outwards. So get your length first, really feel your feet on the ground, a little bit of a bend in the knee will help maybe that opening. So when you want to just open it out, just see how you land, use your back arm, bend your back knee slightly maybe to get yourself back. Just see if that was okay for you. If it is, do another 4. So opening out in your own time, feeling the space and bring yourself back to standing in center. So sometimes we need more of a break, sometimes we want more of a flow. So you choose. So I think I'm on the last one. So coming back to the front of the mat. Okay. How's the body feel now? Do you feel like you've lengthened? Do you feel like you've worn yourself out? Is it different from one side compared to the other side? How's the breath underneath the hands? Okay, I'm going back to side A. So if you do the moving business from side to side in your room or on your mat, then just come back to side A. So we'll be doing, again, familiar stuff, opening out and then doing side angle and reverse warrior. Might play a little bit with the hands. So when you're ready, again, just relax, lengthen, and then open out into your warrior. Okay, and just arrive this time, so we'll be here a little bit longer. So feel both feet on the floor. Just notice what happens if you feel like you could press your feet into sand. What happens with the legs? Does that make them a little stronger or not? Does that make the belly work a little bit more? Maybe, maybe not, don't worry about that. And then just relax the legs, so not completely, but just so you know you're switched on and switched off a little bit. Okay, so from here we'll just tip forward into side angle onto that bent knee side, taking the arm wherever the arm, happy to go. Use the top arm to get yourself back to warrior position, so back to base if you like, our base position. And then over to the other direction, which is the reverse warrior. Float our top arm back into warrior. Side angle for the second time. So we'll do 3 times. So back into center and then reverse it. Back into center, 3rd time. Over to side angle. Use top arm, get you back into that neutral position of warrior 2, what we call neutral, and over to reverse. Yeah, it's on the side, body lengthening. Back into center. Okay. Just take your, bend your wrist so your fingers go up towards the ceiling. Yeah, I know the way you don't want to. Yeah, that way. Okay. And just feel under your arm for a moment and then just put them back into palms facing down towards the floor. Just give yourself a hug for a moment to loosen the shoulders and then open out. Okay, and then just cactus arms if that will manage that. And just see, keeping your legs where they are, just see if you can be blown in the wind a little bit. It's a little bit of a twist. Won't get very far, but a little bit of a twist from your upper body. Just a little bit, but the pelvis is broadly neutral if it can be. Well done, well done. Arms lengthen out back into warrior 2. So if you know you can get yourself back to the front, do. Otherwise, just heel toe, bring your legs back together. So you need a little bit of momentum. Says here to come back to the front. Well done, well done. Excellent. See how you feel on arrival home. So do you feel longer leg? Do you feel tighter? Do you feel like you're more open, more aware of the side body, energy, length, and then you feel taller, you feel more connected to the earth, you feel more connected to your arms, because your arms work quite heavily there. Check how the arms are feeling, whether they're weighted down, whether the shoulders release through that, or whether it's created some tension there. So stepping over to the other side, if you're going to do it that way around, doesn't matter, you can stay where you are otherwise, and just do the opposite position for warrior, opposite way around. So finding your starting point, again, just check you haven't closed down in the front of the sternum. So the hands, just to remind you of that position around the heart, and then opening up to your second side, arriving where you arrive. Yeah, if you need to adjust, you adjust to get your balance. So 3 times heading over onto side angle to get length through that top side of the body, back into the neutral. Warrior 2 and over to reverse. Try to find a little bit more tricky on the side body. Back into neutral. Relax the shoulders each time we get here. Over to side angle for second time, second side. So it's lengthening through the top side of the body. Use the top arm to get yourself back. Reverse that position. Take the hand, arm over the body. Just see what length get down, energy through that side body. Back into neutral, just soften there. And third time, lengthening over. Brilliant. Top arm up. Steady yourself in center. Final reverse on this side. Back into your neutral position. A little bit of play with hands and arms if you want to. So fingertips point up. It's always an interesting one, that for me. Get that feeling under the skin, underneath the wrists, etc. Okay, and then just let them rest back down. And then give yourself a little bit of a hug to relax the shoulders. Just a little bit of a shake hug there. And then open out again. Final one is more like cactus arms, hands up, and then just see if you've got a little bit of movement for the upper body with the legs staying where they are. So they'll be pretty settled, the legs now, hopefully. And then finally opening back to warrior 2, and you decide whether you can get from back to front or whether you just need to do heel toe. Drifting your way back to the front of the mat. Well done there, well done. Okay, so let's just be in neutral for a moment and just get the belly, and one hand on the belly, one hand on the chest for a moment. And just get that sense of inside body feeling. Movement inside while the rest of the body is trying to be still. Or just for a moment. Soften the belly, soften your bum muscles, soften your inner thigh muscles for a moment. You don't need to collapse to do that. You can just soften a little bit under the hand, on the belly. Just give that option for the legs and the buttocks to just rest. Shoulders to rest. Throat, back of the tongue, eyes to rest. Palms to rest on the body. Soles of the feet to rest a little bit too. So just taking 3 breaths in, and then we're going to be heading on to all fours. So a little bit of a rest, if you like, for the legs. Okay, so whenever you're ready, gently releasing the hands away from the body. You need a shake out before you come onto your hands and knees, or need to do any other movements. Sometimes our body tells us what we need to do to get energy going again. Have a listen to that. Just reorganizing the camera slightly. Might help, might not. hopefully everyone's found the ground again, but this time with hands and knees. And whether your toes are tucked under or whether your feet are released, whatever's the most comfortable for you. Feeling how it is in the arms, so probably quite strong, maybe a bit tired. How it is in the inner thighs and the outer thighs. But you can still feel that length through your sternum rather than collapsing down. Okay, so from here we're just going to do some twisting movements. So releasing one hand, and if you're comfortable to do this, just coming down to the side of your head and bringing your shoulder more down towards the ground, giving a little bit of weight if you can. There's a subtle twist going on. Again, obviously, if you're not comfortable in your wrist and your shoulder and your neck, then come out of it. Okay, so on the next in-breath, just press down with the hand on the floor to release that hand back into where it was, back into neutral. And opposite side, so coming down, just threading the arm through to wherever it's comfortably can. You might get the shoulder down, you might not get it anywhere near down. Hopefully you can still hear me. Okay, and again on the next in-breath, come back to neutral. So we'll open up on the other, rather than taking the hand underneath, this time we'll take the arm up and out, yeah. So it's more of a lengthening through the shoulder rather than a pushing back. Lengthening through the shoulder, careful with the neck, come back to neutral. And then extend on the other side, lengthening rather than bringing your shoulder back. It feels like your arms joined into your shoulder and your shoulder blade, and back, down to all fours. So just finding your own rhythm now to move between the two. So hands slips under, release hands and extend up. So 3 times back under in your own rhythm. Extend up and out. 3rd time under and down. 3rd time up and lengthen. Hands back into neutral. Just find your neutral position for a moment. And your breath again, check your neck's okay, shoulders okay. And if you're okay to do the second side, then just let the hand drift underneath the chest. And relax down for a second. And then just bring the arm back and up and extend. 2nd time, down, under, threading it through. Shoulder relax if it will. And extend. 3rd time, under and through. And extend up for the last time on this side. And back onto all fours for a moment. Okay, so from here we're just going to come onto our knees. So I might disappear. I've just about got it okay, I think now. Okay, so again, familiar to most of you, maybe Irene the least. So hands can just come back into the sternum to remind us about that uplift, that lengthen through the front of the sternum. Shoulders go back and relax down. Crown of the head up for the moment. If you've got room to extend the arms out to the side and lengthen through the side body, and then open to the side, so it's like a twist opening at shoulder level. Extend up in center. 2nd side, opening up across the front of the chest, shoulders down. Remember, this time as we extend up, we bring the hands together, you can't see. They come down the center of the body, back to the chest, and we allow ourselves to kind of bow forward, so shoulders come forward, chin comes in. We release the hands, extend to the side for the 2nd round. Open up to your 1st side. Breathe in and extend up. Second side, just soften over to your second side. Lengthen up. Hands together and down the center to just relax, and this bowing movement too. Round the back slightly. Third time, final time. Extending the arms up and outwards, lengthening through the side body. Out breath, coming to your first side, softening your shoulders and opening across the front of the chest. Breathing in, back to that sense of length down both sides. Second side, soften the shoulders, you open up. Extend up on the in-breath, hands together, coming softly down the center, back into the chest sternum, and allow the shoulders and lower body to relax, chin to chest for a moment. Excellent. So, you need to shake out, have a shake out. We're going to be coming up to lie on our belly, and for a few moments, so little things, a few things with ankles and then knees, and then a little bit of movement side to side and bringing the hip up. Yeah, so things we're familiar with, trying to keep broadly familiar so you can kind of get on with your own timing. So if you're comfortable to come onto your front, then do. If you need something underneath your head to give you more support, then just find a blanket or a cushion. So just seeing if you can rest here. So if you need to look one way or the other way because the neck's feeling a bit tight, then choose that. Otherwise, go for center with the forehead relaxing on the wrists. Feel the length through the body. Feel the whole of the front body here that's got contact with the ground. From your toes, through the front of the shin, through the knee, thigh, up through to the belly and the chest, arms on the floor, the contact points there. In the belly, breathe maybe for a moment or two, so it might be subtle, it might be a bit more obvious. So trying to find softness there rather than anything else. For a moment, relax your butt as well as your belly. Okay, so we're going to bend one knee now. So just bending one knee with the sole of the foot heading towards the ceiling. And we're just doing the ankle movements this time. So the lower leg stays still as we take our toes in circles into the sky. And we just see how we can soften that movement around the outer joint of the ankle. Think soft thoughts. How kind of loose, light, gentle could I do this circuit? And the pace decides then from there, whether that's slow or quick. And noticing if you can, then the changes in the back of the heel, in the back of the calf, maybe the back of the thigh and the butt, maybe that's too subtle to notice. Take the circuit the opposite direction, so toes the other direction. If you haven't changed it already, if it's too tight on the ankles or just uncomfortable, just be still and take a break. Let the breath come, let the shoulders relax. Okay, and softly allowing that leg to return to the floor. Notice where it lands, whether it lands the further distance than where you started. You might have one leg longer than the other. You might have more a sense of the front of the knee landing. Okay, opposite leg, just bending that sole of the foot towards the ceiling. And again, really softening the ankle. Feel like it's really light, just hovering as you create those circles in the joint. So we're finding space here. We're not forcing the ankle round. How spacious, how smooth, how fluid could that be? So it might be really small movements in order to get that freedom and space. And circling in the opposite direction now. And again, sometimes it's more sticky going that way. So go back as much as you can into that light feeling rather than that you're forcing it through. Might be a bit grindy, but just smoothing it out, lightening it, space. Imagine it feeling really fluid, energized. And then again, gently releasing that leg to the ground. Again, you may have more length through the body now on both sides. Okay, so the movement we're more familiar with, bending side, first knee, and this time doing bigger movements to loosen around the knee and the hip joint. So again, think of the knee being really light and spacious to create that softness and fluidness in the movement. Might be a bit clunky either in the hip or in the knee. But do your best to smooth it out, soften around it. Keep the shoulders soft if you can. Breath present if you can. And find your own rhythm and energy to just open and loosen, open and loosen, open and loosen, and then reverse the circuit. Be soft and relaxed around the joints if you can. Smoothing the stickiness out, the grindiness as much as you can. And then again, just relax that leg down. Might be even longer. And second leg, second side, to do those bigger movements to get into the knee and into the hip. So this side might be easier, might not be. Might feel the movement in the back of the thigh and the butt and the lower back on this side a little bit more. Looking for softness, fluidness, ease of movement. And circuiting the other direction. And again, releasing down. If you're comfortable to rock from hip to hip, so you kind of bottom goes from side to side, hips go from side to side, do that. That doesn't suit everybody, but just to loosen a little bit. So it's more or less the same movement that we did when we were standing at the beginning with rubbing the hands to just get that shimmy shake side to side, rock from side to side. Okay, so we're going to release the hands from under the head and just bring the hands more to in front of the shoulder. So the head's off the floor and the upper chest's off the floor. And then we just look over our right shoulder and bring our right knee up a little bit. Push back with the leg to help us go over to the left side. So the belly's on the floor, it's just the chest that's slightly up. So we're keeping fairly low. We need to change the angle of the arms and just change the angle of the arms so you're free to go from one side to the other side, like crawling or swimming or climbing movement. So there's a bit of resistance as you take the knee back away from you and lengthen out. So feel like you lengthen when you let the knee go back down, toes go back down. So if you can cope with a couple more each side, then a couple more each side, then we will be going to a back. So you'll get respite from this front position. It's difficult. So when you've done a couple on both sides, and then taking your hand underneath that side of your chest, just pushing yourself up for a moment. Let's just do something before we go on to a back. If you're on your back already, that's fine. But let's just open a little bit more on all fours again. Just one more movement. So it's this where we round the back and take the bottom towards the floor. Most of you know this one. Forearms come to the floor, so we get the body quite low down. It's like we're pushing a ball with the head. We just bring ourselves forward at a low level
and then press down through the hands to get ourselves back. So just be really familiar with this, so the sense of lengthening the body back and down, forearms down, keeping down, moving forward, a little bit of a pressing up. So that's the bit where the work comes in, pressing up. Otherwise, we can just sink back, come down, float forward, and a gentle push up. So finding your own way through that lengthening for the body, that hovering across the ground, the earth, pressing away from the earth. So 3 more circuits if you're enjoying it. If not, just go onto your back and have a rest. We'll head in that direction. Some more movement and flow from down there. Okay. So if you need to get more clothing or grab a drink en route, please do. Otherwise, coming onto your back if you're not already there. Yeah, so get what you need if you need more clothing. We are doing movement, but still sometimes we've been down quite a while and you realise that you're not as warm as you thought you were. So once you're down, if you're comfortable to extend your legs, just extend your legs and let the legs be soft and let the arms be soft, resting on the floor. Give your weight to the ground for a moment. And feel that sense of support from the ground. Any softness you can feel in the body as it meets the ground. So sometimes when we just say weightiness, it can feel like a really heavy feeling, but you can also hopefully get a sense of softness of the body on the ground as well. So both resting down and feeling held and letting the breath be and letting the belly move and the lower back move as it wishes to in this extended position on our backs. First time we've felt this sense of the earth beneath the back of our body in the last hour or so. So getting in touch with that, how's that left arm feel compared to the right arm? How are the shoulder blades resting? Do they rest down and supple down, or are they a little bit off the floor? Where's the back meet the ground? Is it the whole of the upper and mid back? How much an arch and how much space is there in the lower back? And how do the bottom and the legs touch the floor? Do the toes come out? Do the toes go up towards the sky? Do the toes come in towards each other? Okay. So gently bending one knee, then the other knee, so you got your feet on the floor and your knees heading towards the sky. Bring in your favourite knee in towards your chest. Just take your hand to your shin or your back of your thigh. And then just gently rocking the knee a little bit closer in if it's got space, and then let the knee drift away from you so your arms can straighten. Drifting the knee in, let the knee drift away. So the hands do a little bit of work to bring the knee inwards. And you choose what range you want. So you can only go so far with the leg away from you, because that'll just be where the arms are straight. And you might be tipping forward on your pelvis. And as you bring your knee in towards the chest a bit more, as you bend your elbows, you might be coming onto your lower back a little bit more. Just finding the space that you've got without forcing the range. Just go within your range or even less than your range so you can be comfortable. So 3 more movements, just bringing the knee gently in and let it gently rock away with your own either your breath or just a sense of flow and ease possible. When you've done about 3, then just leave, so I've got my right knee, so I'm going to leave my right hand on my knee and just let the other arm take a rest. And I'm just doing little circles with the knee to get into the hip. Yeah, so we've done this line on our belly, now we're doing it on our back and just seeing if we will get a different sensation of the hip and the thigh bone in the hip. So if ever it's uncomfortable, leave it out. If you get a little bit of a circuit here, it might be really kind of jumpy and a bit grindy, but just do what you can. We've been doing a lot of loosening and opening now. Just go in the opposite direction, lightly floating the knee around. Keep the other foot really stable on the floor so you're not allowing that side to rock. That side stable while we try and unwind the other side. Okay, and foot back to the floor. Release that hand for a moment and just see how both legs feel in this still with the feet on the floor, knees bent. So they'll feel differently, I suspect. Then bringing the second leg in, hands onto the shin or the thigh, both hands this time, and do the rocking. So bringing the knee in towards the chest, within your range, and then let the knee drift away from you, so the arms straighten. Notice some movement in the pelvis, notice some movement in the lower back if you can. Going within what's comfortable. Finding ease in that lengthening away and bringing in. So there'll be different areas of the body lengthening in different phases of that movement. Might be easier on one side than the other side. Find your own flow. If you need to do it a little bit faster, then choose to do so. So 3 more within your range. And when you've done those 3, then release one hand, so whichever knee's bent, it's that same hand, resting on the knee to do some knee circles. So your other leg is stable and keeps that side from the knee moving out to the side. Ideally, try to keep that second side stable so you can loosen more easily. The side you're encouraging to just lighten and float and relax. If it's not comfortable, leave it out. Sometimes knees have had enough by now. So opposite direction might be more sticky. Going in your second direction because it wasn't your first choice. And then gently let that foot come to the floor and relax away from the body. Let the breath come back and relax. Okay, let the knees just drift slightly over to the right, so the hip distance apart is my suggestion. As the knees drift to one side, come back to centre and then drift to the other side. Back to centre and drift over. Back to centre, drift to the second side, one more trip across. So back to centre, first side, back to centre and second side. Back to centre. Lengthen through the arms. So reach as if you're reaching up towards the sky with the hands, palms facing each other. Shoulders come away from the floor here. Okay, if you feel comfortable, because it's a bit of a strong movement, just take the feet off the floor. So the knees head towards the ceiling. So that's a bit more work for the belly. You keeping your arms straight, same position. Take your arms over to the left and your knees over to your right a little bit. back to the center. If it's too strong in the belly, just take the feet to the ground. Opposite side, hands to the opposite side. Just a little way, don't need to go far, just a few inches to each side. So a couple more times if you're comfortable doing this. Side to side, arms in opposite direction to knees. And when you've done enough, then gently relaxing the arms back down, feet back down, this time lengthening through both legs so you get the length and the knees can relax down. Different spaciousness at the back of the knees now. And just see now how the shoulders land, how the back of the head lands on the floor, how the arms feel, if they feel tired, just relaxed. Where your bottom meets the floor and the legs. Okay. Feel the breath in the belly. Okay, so feet back to the floor, knees bent. So you need enough space to take your arms over your head and to reach your legs long. So if you need to adjust in your space, then please do. So this time the arms are reasonably close to the body with the palms facing down. So lengthening through the right arm and sweeping that behind you to wherever you're comfortable extending. It might get to the floor, it might not. Out breath, just bring the arm back. Control. It's more like the arms kind of going through water. Second arm, extend maybe on the in-breath. Keeping control and a little bit of retention as you come back on your second side. And then both arms, breathing in, lengthening. Openness through the chest, out breath, just bringing the arms back to base. This time, take your right arm out and reach your left leg along the ground. So lengthening diagonally. Come back to center with the foot and with the arm. Left arm over and right leg lengthen, diagonal, out breath, come back to center. So this time, right arm behind you and left foot towards the ceiling, that kind of direction, and back to neutral, back to where you started, and then left arm over and right foot more towards the ceiling, and back to center. Both arms over and both feet towards the sky. Arms back, feet to the floor, knees bent. One more time, same movement. Arms reach over, feet go towards the sky. Keep your knees bent as much as you want to. And arms back down, feet back on the floor. So we're going into bridge. So just having your feet reasonably comfortably close to your butt, yeah? So they've not escaped you. And have your arms however you want your arms. So they could be the same as they were for the previous movement or slightly more relaxed. Creating an arch in the lower back. Flatten the lower back and pick your bum off the floor and your lower back off the floor. And roll it gently back down. Arch the lower back as we do the rolling bridge. Lower back down now, bottom off the floor, lower back, and just come up to the base of the rib cage. And lower yourself down, rolling and extending through the front of the spine, base of the spine. Create that mini arch. And then lower the back, bottom off the floor, and come up to the base of the shoulder blades. Roll yourself down, energizing the back. as you go. Energizing the spine as it lengthens. Arch the lower back. So if you want to go higher this time, you could. So lower the back, then butt off the floor, lower back, mid back. If you want to go higher or just to the place you were before, that's fine. Lower the spine down. Lengthen as you go, as you roll down. And then we'll come in reverse, so arch the back, flatten the back, and then just come up to the tips of the shoulder blades again. Lower down and extend. Arch the lower back up to, next time as you lower the back, coming up to the base of the rib cage diaphragm area. Lower and extend. Mini arch for the lower back. Just take your bum off the floor on the lower back. And lengthen down. This time as you lengthen down, just bring your knees into your chest, take your hands onto your knees or your thighs, and just have a rock from side to side, or do rolling on your lower back. That's more pleasant. Relaxing the breath, a little bit of a sigh breath. If you're going in circles, just take the circles in the other direction on your lower back. Okay, and let the feet return to the floor. And take the arms out to shoulder length level if you've got space, if not, just wherever you've got space. Let's take the feet wider, so as wide as your mat, or pretend if you haven't got a mat, that kind of distance. Let the knees drift over to the right and the head drift over to the left if it's comfortable for the head. Bring the belly in to support the knees coming back into center, and let the knees gently drift over to the left and the eyes to the right. And then find your own rhythm. So belly back in to get yourself up and over, and then you just find your own way of softly flowing from side to side. If you want your head to move, let your head go in opposite direction. If it's not comfortable, just keep it in neutral. You find your flow of the body as you will. And you might have your eyes closed, you might have your eyes open. Sense of light above you as you do the movements. We've got blue sky here. So it's a bit more light in the world, in our world anyway. So a couple more each side. And then just relax for a few moments and just be still. So as you're still, I just need to just go on a journey to find the bells. So I'll disappear in the next moment, but just lengthen the legs out when you can. Find a comfortable position for the arms away from the body, so not quite as far away as shoulder distance, so the shoulders can relax down. And just feel the whole body resting on the floor. Feel the breathing body for a few breaths. So just notice your own flow in stillness. So if you need to move, please do. But if you can be still, just really be focused on just the internal movements, the breath, your relationship to the ground. If you want to have a relationship to the space around you, you could play around with that. Just feel the space above you. So just having connection with space or earth, connection with body and breath. If it's pleasant to have that sense of the breath being more like a breeze up and down the body, or up the front of the body and down the back, to just give that refreshing quality to the body, then you could try that. Okay, folks, so have a yawn, have a bit of a movement now to just wake up the fingers, the hands, get the body just a little bit more active. So thank you. Can't believe 6 weeks is gone. So thank you very much for coming. I'm going to have to turn into a Christmas elf now and just do my Santa bit. So lovely to see you. I won't close the meeting, so if you want to talk, you'll just need to put your own mic on. I'll just leave the meeting, I'm afraid. So I might see you next week. So I might see you one more time before Christmas. If not, happy Christmas and take care. Okay. See you soon. So I'll just end it for me and then you can chat if you